What's up, Urban Acolyte family? My name is Prince, and I'm an Urban Acolyte. And in this episode of Star Wars Chats, I want to talk to you guys about Ahsoka Tano's possible involvement in Star Wars Episode VIII. So this stuff is going to blow your mind. I'm going to give you a bit of a speculation on my behalf, but everything that I'm going to present to set up my speculation that's coming is all taken from rumors that have been reported on makingstarwars.net. So I'm going to just start out with this first article that they posted back in December. Actually thought about covering this article in a video, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Let me read it to you first. So they report one of the more interesting mysteries of Star Wars Episode VIII is what exactly takes place on Ach-To. Before Rey arrived at the end of Star Wars The Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker was not alone, but rather sharing the island of Ach-To with some surprising inhabitants, as we will see in Star Wars Episode VIII. The featured creatures of Ach-To have befriended Luke Skywalker during his residency as a Jedi recluse. Luke's little friends are avian in nature. Skellig Michael Island is where the island of Ach-To was first glimpsed in Star Wars The Force Awakens. The new creatures from Episode VIII are actually designed after the puffins that inhabit the area in our real world, so there should be little question if the design actually fits the environment. Rumor has it that the creatures have razor-sharp teeth and are a mixture of the terrifying and the adorable. They're sort of like a bird mixed with a gremlin. Someone once said it was like the Star Wars version of a Furby, but the look and feel is so Star Wars that they loved it. Basically combine a puffin, a Furby, and Star Wars it up, and you have yourself an idea of what this creature is. They're tiny, maybe 15 inches tall or so. I was apprehensive when I first heard Furby, but no one speaking of the design has anything bad to say about it. In fact, those that have seen the tiny puppets on set are overjoyed by their presence in the film. The other rumor worth noting is that the puffin that personally has screen time with Skywalker sees himself as a protector of the islands on Ach-To. Luke Skywalker has permission to be there while Rey does not. Rey has a sequence on Ach-To where she fights a rather large sea monster, and we've also heard she wears a black cloak during the sequence over the costume we described before. It has been suggested but not confirmed that Rey's besting of the sea monster grants her permission to be at the sacred location by the puffins. However, the sequences could be totally unrelated. Okay, so when I first read this, what I was gonna report is that I think the island of Ach-To may actually be Tython, right? In Legends, in the Dawn of the Jedi comic book, we see that the force sensitive people, or the people who become the first Jedi Order, are all taken to Tython by those pyramidal structures. I forgot the Thoyor, right? We saw something like that in the Mortis episode of the Clone Wars. And one of the things you learn in the Dawn of the Jedi comic book is the people, the children of the Force. So the children who weren't Force sensitive, it was too dangerous for them to live on Tython because of these monsters and creatures and the wildlife, and they had to leave because only the people who could become Jedi, who were eligible for the training, who had the gift, were able to survive there due to the harsh conditions. And so when I'm hearing things about these puffin creatures, sea monsters that Rey has to fight, I immediately started thinking of Tython in the Dawn of the Jedi. And so I was going to talk about how maybe the name Tython was tossed out and they went with this name Ach-To, the same way that Korriban gets changed to Morriban. Now, some of you say, well, that's stupid. Why didn't they keep the name Tython? I don't know. Why didn't they keep the name Korriban? Somebody decided that they decided to make that change, and we just have to live with it. But I wanted to speculate on the possibility of Ach-To maybe being actually where the Jedi Order started, and we have this planet Jedha. Maybe people, the children of the first Jedi, go to Jedha and they continue this religion based around the Force, and these other religions sprang from that, and it just turned out that that's where the people went who weren't eligible, didn't have the gift to go on and become Jedi and be part of that order. But now it's getting reported. So hold that thought, and maybe that's something that we can look at as I think that we will start to learn about the origins of the Jedi, possibly in episode 8. But I said this is about Ahsoka and the connection of the convors. So this week, a new article about rumors on the set of episode 8 as a follow-up to that article reporting these puffins and sea monsters and whatnot. They post on makingstarwars.net. If you recall, last week, we shared some information about these little avian creatures on Ach-To in Star Wars Episode VIII. These birds were said to be the protectors of Ach-To when the puppets were being described to me last summer. Certain things like their sharp teeth stood out to me that I never saw in a Star Wars design, but they also made me not consider it was a bird-like creature we had seen before. Many of you asked me if the puffins were convors. I thought about it and dug a little. It appears highly likely we will be seeing convors in Star Wars Episode VIII. The sources that got back to me so far have said that's the gist of the design. However, leave some room open for the animated show's interpretation. Without having seen the designs myself at this point, I think it's about as good as I can do to confirm we will see convors in Star Wars Episode VIII. The convors have shown up in Star Wars Rebels at pivotal moments, but sometimes they're subtle. One sits on the shoulders of Bendu when he meets the Jedi and Maul. In Mystery of Chopper Base, Ezra Bridger, who has been interfacing with wildlife, struggles with the power, but then he looks up to the sky to see a convor flying over his head. In the same scene, Ahsoka Tano appears and says, "In my experience, just when you think you understand the Force, you find out how little you actually know." Later, after Ahsoka fights Darth Vader, we see a convor after the fight, showing us once again that these creatures glimpse something important. Now, in the Topps trading card series that Dave Filoni made about Ahsoka and what takes place after the events on Malachor, right? They document Ahsoka's journey into the underworld. And in one of those cards, there's an image showing a convor leading Ahsoka Tano into the underworld. And there's her journey into what we may think is the afterlife, or at least Ahsoka Tano is having some kind of metamorphosis. She's on a literal journey that we're seeing, and she's becoming something else, possibly. What it is, we don't know. But I wanted to talk about the meaning of owls in real world mythology and try to tie that back to Star Wars and how I think Ahsoka Tano may be involved with Star Wars Episode VIII. So, in Greek mythology, we have the goddess Athena, and she is the goddess of war and the goddess of wisdom. She's believed to be the daughter of Zeus's first wife, Metis. Metis also means wisdom. And there's a story that I heard about Zeus and his wife Metis. I don't remember the reason, but for some reason, Zeus took Metis and swallowed her to put Metis into his stomach. So there was the video I did, may have been 2 videos again where I mentioned the enteric nervous system. Some people believe this to be the second brain, the emotional brain. If you think about emotions and following your gut or your intuition, intuitive wisdom or inner knowledge. So in the myth of Zeus, he takes his wife Wisdom, swallows her, and puts wisdom into his gut. And then he births his daughter, Athena. So from inner wisdom, his goddess, his child, the goddess of wisdom, comes out of him. So wisdom literally coming forth or flowing from your intuition, right? The wisdom comes out. The wisdom is here and it comes out spoken from the mouth, right? So hold that thought, because I'm setting up something about intuition, a journey inward to discover outward wisdom. Hold that thought, right? I'm getting deep. No offense to the other Star Wars Wars channels, but you guys don't dig deep like this. Y'all don't spit knowledge like this, right? Because I'm a theologian, I'm a preacher, right? That's my background, right? All right, so we go on to say that owls are a sign of death in many cultures, including some Native American tribes. For some cultures, the owl is sacred. Among Australian Aborigines, owls are the spirits of women and so are sacred. In Japan, owls bring luck and offer protection from suffering. The reason can be found in the Japanese name for owl. And I don't know Japanese, but I believe this is pronounced fukuro, which can be written in different sets of characters. One with the meaning of luck, to come, or also used in boys' names, and the other as a protection from hardship. Kuro, suffering or hardship. So owls can mean luck, good luck, or protection from suffering or hardship. They can mean a sign of death, right? And you think about, we've seen different kinds of convors, right? And those different colors can denote that they stand for different things. They could stand for luck, protection of suffering, a sign of death. In the case of Ahsoka Tano, when we see her on Malachor, unfortunately, it could be wisdom, or the convor that's leading her through her journey through the underworld could denote all of these, right? And what do we know? We know that the convors apparently have some connection to the daughter from the Mortis arc. The daughter gave up her life force to save Ahsoka, and so Ahsoka has some connection to the daughter. We see these convors. They have always appeared around Ahsoka up until we saw them with the Bendu, right? Maybe Ahsoka has some connection to the daughter. Maybe she has some connection to the Bendu. Maybe Ahsoka has gone on to represent something greater in the Force. And I'm saying that because Ashley Eckstein recently did an interview that was reported on comicbook.com. And Ashley was a special guest on a new Disney cruise doing Star Wars days. And while she couldn't say much, she did confirm that Ahsoka Tano has a future, right? So Ahsoka Tano, or Ashley Eckstein, I'm sorry, I'm calling her Ahsoka Tano, asked Dave Filoni what she could say about Ahsoka's future on Star Wars Rebels. Wrote Brian Young, a journalist, podcaster, and writer with credits at StarWars.com. And Ashley said that Ahsoka has a future. However, that was literally all she could say. And recall that at Star Wars Celebration Europe, Dave Filoni and Ashley talked about Ahsoka's past more than the future, but Dave Filoni did tease at the time that while he initially thought Ahsoka's story ended with the Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale, he was reconsidering and hoped to find a way to tell more stories with her in them. And Ashley Eckstein echoed this a few months later. And if you recall, from that talk about Ahsoka Tano, Dave Filoni, one of his last words was, "We have not seen the last of Ahsoka Tano." Now, Ashley goes on to say, "In my opinion, I don't know the truth, but I think Ahsoka Tano is alive." She told this to comicbook.com in August. She went on to say, "There's so much we don't know. Seeing her walk into that temple, I'm really hopeful that we'll get more of her someday in the future and also get more from her past." Now, how does all of this tie Ahsoka Tano to Luke Skywalker, to Star Wars Rebels? This is my speculation, and I'm going to end on this, right? So we have Episode VIII coming out next year. We've got Star Wars Rebels Season 4. Now, this is what I would do, right? Now, we know that Luke Skywalker, from the Shattered Empires comic book series, from things that have been said in Bloodlines, Luke lived a very private life following the events of Return of the Jedi. He started going out, seeking these Jedi ruins, looking out for connections to the history of the Jedi, and eventually it would lead him to finding the first Jedi temple, right? Now, if you think about what we've seen in Rebels, every time we see something around the Force, there's the convors. They're on Malachor, Ahsoka dies, there's the convors. They go to Chopper Base, there's the convors. They find the Bendu, there's the convors. And making StarWars.net also had this same speculation that maybe these convors, as Luke is seeking out Jedi relics, connections to the past of the Jedi, the origins of the Jedi, these convors are going to start to lead him eventually to Ach-To, where, according to this, they are the protectors of Ach-To, the protectors of the first Jedi temple. And I'm jumping all over the place, but a lot of people have asked me when I posted that video back in the summer, saying that Rey is the first Jedi, and that's not literally Rey. Rey, the character, is the first Jedi, but she may be a reincarnation or have some connection to the person, allegedly a female who started the Jedi Order. Now, if we say that the daughter from the Mortis arc, maybe if she had some involvement, some connection, the same way she had a connection to Ahsoka through her giving up her life force, right? Then what if there's like a person who's like an avatar of the daughter, right? Of the light side of the force, right? And that begs questions about who the son is. Does the son have a physical avatar as well? That's something that we can play around with, right? But what if at some point when the daughter gives up her life force, Ahsoka becomes that as avatar, and as she transcends the physical plane, the physical body, maybe she doesn't go on to be one with the force the way Obi-Wan, the way Yoda does. She goes on to be one with the force in a different way, because we're learning different understandings, different ways of understanding the force, different ways of knowing, right? We don't exactly know what the daughter is. All we can say right now is that these people had a higher midichlorian count. They were stronger in the force than any other living being besides Anakin Skywalker as the chosen one, because he could control both the daughter and the son the same way the father could, right? And that's what the prophecy of Mortis, says, is that one will be born purely from the force, and they will be able to stop the daughter and the son from tearing the galaxy apart due to their ability to unbalance the force, right? So, we've said that Rey has some bigger connection to the galaxy and to what's going on with the force. What if she's some kind of avatar of the daughter? What if Ahsoka has been the avatar after her death, or had some connection, and she has been the one who has helped guide Luke Skywalker to Ach-To, to maybe Luke is there waiting on Rey because Ahsoka Tano has become his teacher as well, right? And that would completely blow my mind. Now, how does this connect Rebels and Episode VIII? Well, if season 4 starts to deal with more of this Force stuff, if Ahsoka Tano has a future on Rebels, I think that Ezra is not going to become a Jedi, not because he's going to turn to the dark side, right? I think he's going to get pushed back into the light, but I think he's going to find some other way of understanding the Force. I think he'll end up being like Ahsoka, where she's a Jedi trained Force user, but not a Jedi. And I think that Ezra could have some connection to Ahsoka. He could have some contact with these convors and seek out this new knowledge, this new way of putting himself to get back together after everything that we're going to experience in season 3 with the Bendu, with Maul, with whatever's going to happen between Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi's possible showdown, right? And the perfect way that I would do this is the Rebels mid-season finale next year. You have Ezra making contact with these convors and with Ahsoka. Boom, you roll right into episode 8. There's Luke on Ach-To talking with Rey. She takes the lightsaber. We see the convors. We see the protectors of Ach-To. And Rey is going through these trials and challenges there on Ach-To, fighting sea monsters and everything else. And it all connects, right? We see Ahsoka in Rebels. We understand that Ahsoka and the convors have been in contact with Luke Skywalker after the events on Return of the Jedi, led him to Ach-To. Rey has come to Ach-To, and whatever Rey's connection is to the Force and her bigger goal as the boon giver, we get all of that together. And that's my speculation, at least, that I think that Ahsoka Tano has some direct connection to Rey's journey, her heroic journey. And we're just going to have to wait until this time next year to see if everything I'm saying is right, or if it all turns out to be just me being creative and trying to put things together. But it looks like that these convors will be in a part of episode 8. And if convors are there, then it's only natural to assume that Ahsoka Tano will be involved. But that's all I've got to say. What do you guys think about what I've reported from MakingStarWars.net that appears to be true, and then my speculation about Ahsoka Tano being involved with Luke, with Rey, and possibly the rebuilding of another new Jedi Order, or whatever Rey is going to become as the next boon giver in Star Wars. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'll be checking to see what you guys have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Go ahead and use your love for Star Wars to help you make the commitment to improving yourself and to improving the community around you, right? Be like a real Jedi or a guardian of the wills or whatever it is that tickles your whatever you want tickled. I don't know. But continue to support the channel. Check out some of my other videos. And that's all I've got for this episode of Star Wars Chat. So thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the Force be with you always.